Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Happy Fuse Corona-cation, communicating passion at the time of coronavirus. Today we're meeting with Carmen Mariscal. Good morning, Carmen.
Good morning, Raffaella.
So Carmen, tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a Mexican visual artist. I live now in London, but I lived many years in France. And I'm actually in France right now because when the lockdown started, I was putting up an exhibition here. So I just stayed.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your work. How are you communicating your passion at this, and your work? How are you showing your work to people at this time?
I mean, this lockdown has been quite long, so it's been in different stages. So at the beginning, because we opened this very big public sculpture in the Place du Palais Royal in Paris on the 12th of March, and right after we were in lockdown. So at the beginning, I continued communicating about this piece because it had to live online because nobody can see it. It's still up. I thought, okay, I'm going to create new work and I'm going to be very prolific and all of these things that I've always wanted to do. And I realized that this lockdown period was also in a way a sort of retreat, and I didn't need to force myself to create and produce, but more to, it's like a gestation period where I've been reading a lot and drawing and just trying to get to see where the work's going to go next time. I'm also writing a very big and difficult proposal for a big project, so that's taken a lot of time. I wanted to show you this sculpture, which is now in the Place du Palais Royal, because even if I'm not working at making it right now, it's living on its own. So I'm starting to do a lot more dialogue with it. And now as the lockdown goes further and further, because this piece has been read differently since we've been on lockdown, because you'll see, I'll show you and you'll see what it is.
Thank you.
So you can see this house. Mm-hmm. It's a sculpture made out of tiny locks. They were the locks that were in the Parisian bridges of Pont des Arts et Pont de l'Archevêché. So I borrowed them from the city of Paris, and with the grids, I made this, with the whole team, of course, with engineers and everything. I made this house made out of the grids of the locks that were on the bridges. Each little lock for me carries a whole story about memory, about these people that came to Paris and wanted to sort of appropriate the city. So the piece is embedded with all these little stories and the memory of all these locks. And then I created this piece because I always thought, what a crazy idea people have to think that that the lock is a symbol of love. Of course, it's a symbol of security, and that I understand, but then I also thought it's a symbol of possession. So this house is called Chez Nous, and Chez Nous in French means our home, but it also means our city, our country. So it was a way, it's like a coming and going between the private and the public. And it's there, well, it was there to be seen by the public and to have a dialogue by the public. But of course, now there is no physical public in front of it. So this period has changed the way people are looking at art, and the way people are looking and seeing this piece, because this piece was, with this piece, I was also saying, well, if love means locking oneself one to the other, then on the extreme cases, it also means that one possesses the other, and then it just made me think of violence in the house towards women and children. So with this piece, we've been doing a fundraising to help children and women victims of domestic violence. So that's what I'm doing now also during this confinement period. We are launching just a special campaign to get funds for associations that give safe shelter to women and children victims of domestic violence, because it has gone up from 30 to 70% depending on the country. So this piece that was conceived for that is living differently and during this confinement period. So I'm going to show you a little bit video of how this piece was made. here.
I'm also thinking about the idea of a lock and the house. So it was a bit prophetic, you know, lockdown, everybody's locked in a house.
People have been telling me, and it's been very, it's been strange and interesting at the same time, because when you create a work of art, you never know where it's going to take it, and it doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the public. It belongs to the people that see it, and the people that see it differently from where they're standing, in the context they're standing, or in the country they're standing, or in the situation it's standing. So it was like, it was a coincidence that it was there, and it opened the day that all of this happened. So it's been read in many different ways.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't belong to me anymore, it belongs to who sees it. So everybody can read it the way they want to read it. It is true that I've been working around the theme of confinement for 25 years now. So, and confinement and dwellings. So dwelling as our first dwelling is our body, and our first confinement is when we're in our mother's womb. So I've been working in a coming and going between these dwellings and these confinements. Another confinement and dwelling are the clothes we wear, the house we're in, the cities we're in. They're not always confinement, but they're always dwelling. So it's comings and goings between that.
Interesting.
Because I had a car accident when I was 22, and I was in the hospital a long time. So I've been thinking about the confinement for many, many years too. I wanted to show you a short video that we did for the fundraising of the piece, but it shows you also of the process of creation of the piece. So I wanted to share that with everybody. So this is a little bit of the story of how it was made and conceived, and where I found that, you know, I'm always working in different projects at the same time. So something one way or another will come out, and I'll be very happy to share it with all of you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Raffaella.
Take care.